Hey, welcome back to another Hump Day Show with the hockey coach, Coach Frenchy, directly for the beautiful country of the jungle in Thailand on amazing, great Wednesday night, October 2nd, 2025. Hopefully an amazing, great day, middle of the week, middle of the time to talk about the Montreal Canadiens and, of course, what happened last night between the Ottawa Senators and the Montreal Canadiens and Quebec City. It was the time of the Nordic, remind me, the Nordic with Dale Hunter, Michel Bergeron, and the Montreal Canadiens long time ago. Maybe some of you was not born yet, but it was fun. I think it was great to see that yesterday. So we have a lot of comments to talk about this. If you follow this on the social media, on the radio, TV, it was all about that game, honestly, but we'll see. What Marko is going to talk about this tonight. And of course, every Wednesday night is back with us from Hawkesbury. We got Nick Lariviere, and we have a special guest directly from Montreal, back in the house for like maybe 1 year ago now. The last time we saw him, Mr. Nick Lariviere, are in the house tonight.
Hi, guys.
Always forget which way to point. That makes sense. There you go. Welcome, Nick. Welcome, Nick. Yeah, it's always...
When you try and point, I see what you mean. Like I try and point this way, it's in the opposite direction.
Yeah, it's a little confusing, but hey, no, really nice to have you on again, Nick. Thanks for joining, man. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I wanted to also congratulate you on a decent fantasy season last year. I think we went head to head a couple times. Some pretty tight matchups. Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of what's been going on with you? So we know you've been writing for the Sick podcast for a while now. Why don't you tell us a little bit, tell the people kind of what you've been writing about, where they can follow you on Twitter, how often you're writing articles. The floor is yours, sir, to promote and tell the chat kind of what you're all about.
Yeah, so now writing at Sick Media is literally like a part-time job that I do every day. I write 3 articles a day. 3 small articles a day. You can follow me on at Nick L2500 on Twitter or HabsFan2500 on Instagram. And so what I write about is a bit of everything that goes on with the Habs on a daily basis, their prospects, just anything I can think of Habs related. That's what I'll write about.
Nice. What's your experience working like for Sick Media? You know, like, so obviously we know the Sick podcast, but tell us a little bit about kind of what it's like working with Sick Media.
Honestly, it's a good thing. It's just that, like, because they were a startup company, it was hard for them to actually like come up with like a proper contract for writing and stuff. They finally came up with something that works, and that's why I'm now writing kind of as a part-time job. It literally is the same amount as you would get if you were to do like, I don't know, like 10, 12 hours a week of work at some sort of part-time job. So
that's great, man.
It helps.
Yeah,
it helps
really happy for you. Like,
I'm happy I can write about hockey. It's fun. I'm finding the love for writing again, because for a while it was getting hard to, when you're not getting paid, it can get hard. But you know, as Sick Media is growing, because now they have 25 podcasts, and I don't know if you heard, they're also going to be the official radio,
for the
doing the
Laval
official
Rocket,
radio broadcaster for the Laval Rocket.
That's great, man. No, like, listen, like, it's, I know Coach also now writes for for Hockey Hot Stove, so kudos to you guys for trying to come up with all kinds of fresh ideas of what to write about every day, trying to come up with a fresh angle. So good for you, Nick. We're happy that things are going well for you. So we invite everybody to follow Nick on Twitter, on Instagram, read his articles, great insights on the Montreal Canadiens. So thanks again for joining, Nick. We have lots to talk about this week. Coach, why don't you walk us through what we have teed up for today?
Sure. First of all, Nick, welcome back. I think, I don't think so the last time, but I think at some point I remember you when he came here from Marko. He was still a student at the university, I believe, or he was
Just
report
getting out, I
writing,
think.
something like that, long like 2-3 years ago. And Nick visit us every year, guys, talking about hockey. He's a guy also in the fantasy hockey ESPN with the Hockey Nation. We invite all of you. We're missing maybe 1 or 2 GM, and the draft is going to be Sunday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to provide you a Zoom. You can, of course, talking about the about hockey during that draft, and I can't wait to see all of you. We're looking for 16 GM. This is season number 5. Marko is the winner of the season number 4 last year. Congratulations again, Marko. Everything. Frank knocked the door. Welcome back. I mentioned all of you in the chat, guys. Welcome, everybody. Thanks. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes. We are 91 subscribers to reach that milestone at 10,000. We get another big push yesterday, about 19. So the last 3 days, maybe 4 days, is about we got about 45 new subscribers. So we're getting close. Nice. I tried to get before the October 8th, but at the end of the day, it's no matter. It's we just want to add more people in the chat and to sharing. Don't hesitate if any question you have for Nick, Marko, myself. To put the letter Q in front of the question so we can follow up easier in the chat and about everything about hockey. Not a problem. That would be great for us to answer to your question as like we do at the beginning, Marko. Of course, we always do that.
Always love to start with the headlines, Coach. Kick off the show with some pertinent questions and see if we can get everybody fired up with some of our headlines.
Here we go. We'll do the run that way. Marko first, Nick second, and myself third. Have a good one, Marko, today.
Nice.
Here we go, Marko.
So there's only really one sure thing here, guys, and that's the top line for the Montreal Canadiens. Martin St. Louis recently, there's a quote here at the bottom. If you take Suzuki's line out of the equation, it's very competitive after that, and we're really not sure yet how it's all going to shake out. To me, some people might find that to be disturbing or a little bit worrisome. To me, this is kind of music to my ears, guys, because I've been talking about this for years here, that I like teams that are built on balance. I like teams that are built on depth. I don't like teams that are too top heavy, end up using, like 40% of their cap space on like 3 players. So I like it, it's kind of like a little bit like a modular setup, it's almost like IKEA, right? Like you can kind of like move things around, build new things with it. So I like it. Like I like the flexibility that Martin St. Louis has. I think, obviously it's natural for people to want to be able to predict exactly what the lines are going to be, but Martin St. Louis, like you have to listen and take him at his word. Like maybe there's not really such a thing as a third and fourth line with this edition of the Montreal Canadiens, and you don't have to look further than last year. Like there wasn't a huge difference between the Evans line when it was going with Heineman and Armia, and then with Dvorak, with Anderson and Gallagher. Like they played sometimes way more minutes than the second line, right? So I love it. Obviously we'll talk about the game last night and the experiments continue, but I like that there's a lot of flexibility there, and Martin St. Louis is it's kind of like just rolling line after line after line, waves and waves, crashing against the shore, crashing against the opponent's D-men, and just, adding pressure all over the ice. So I like it. I like the fact that there's going to be some flexibility, and they're going to be able to move parts around all year. So don't freak out if we don't know the lines yet. There's still some time to kind of figure that out, as long as everybody's playing the same way. So I don't know, Nick, like what you think. Like, does it make you anxious that St. Louis hasn't landed yet necessarily on the formula that everybody can see?
No, because I did see my idea, the formula. He started training camp with that. Line and Demidov do not work together, so you got to at 5-on-5. So you got to try something new, and this new equation is the way to go with it. Although I did think that Gallagher, Anderson, and Evans was set as a fourth line or fourth line, but I guess not, because last night they did a bit differently and it worked. to its own capacity. Gallagher had 3 assists.
Yeah.
3 quiet assists, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize he had 3 assists until I
Very
saw the
efficient.
box score after.
Very efficient game for Galley, for sure.
But yeah, it's a good thing to have some competition down in your lineup. And yeah, when you pay too many players, too much for like 3 players, it makes that much of a difference on your team going forward. Like, look at Edmonton; they can't do much more. Toronto couldn't do much more when they had Marner, Matthews, Nylander. It's true though. You need
Yeah.
depth to win, and that's the difference.
Good comments, both of you, about that situation. I think a lot of comments in the chat also. We welcome everybody. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes. The Yankees just get around RBI, so it's 4-3 at the end of the 8th for the Yankees. If follow baseball, the Cleveland tied the series 1-1 a little bit early. I think the San Diego, I don't know the game is over, it was lead the Cubs to tie also that series at that moment. So yes, both of you, you're right. I think it's going to happen, Marko, also. Game number 1, game 40, game 60, and game 80. You're going to get a lot of time. It's not going to be a steady line all the way. I think you're going to get, because you have option this year, Marko. That's the beauty of what they have this season compared to before. So we'll have to see what Martin Louis is going to do for the next game. But the second headlines, this coming from Nick. Nick, that's what you wrote today, but give us a little bit more information about your headline.
Yeah, so what I did basically here is I analyzed a little bit of what Kapanen did throughout the preseason and kind of asked, like, has he done enough? Because what he has done, though, and what I've concluded is he seems to be a glue guy on every line he's played on through the preseason. He was the best player against Pittsburgh on his line, because obviously Demidov and Line A do not work together. And it was proven when they played Toronto that Kapanen was not the problem at all. I found Bolduc and Newhook very, like, invisible the game against the Flyers. So when they put Kapanen on a line with them, they had their best game of the preseason on Saturday. And it just seems like what he is he's a glue guy. But will that be enough to keep him in Montreal, or are they going to want to just go with the older guys like Veleno and Blair, something like that? I think it should be enough, but I put a clip where Maxime Lapierre said he doesn't believe that it's what Montreal needs right now, because they need someone like a Florian Jacka, and guess we're going to talk a lot about him later as the show goes along.
Yeah.
I guess it depends what you need, but they kind of do need a guy like Kapanen to put these lines together. Because look how Newhook and Demidov performed yesterday with Kapanen.
So, yeah. So listen, man, like, before I get into Kapanen, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on Newhook. I think Newhook's had a really good camp overall, so I think he's been pretty much every game. I think he's been a good presence, like using his speed and everything. So I think he's had a pretty solid camp. But, when it comes to Kapanen, like I think if there's one thing that we learned yesterday is that there, because to me it was pretty tight between Owen Beck and Oliver Kapanen until last night.
It's over.
I think you saw a pretty clear demarcation here. Like, Beck, he's had a couple good chances. Like, he had a couple breakaways, some good chances. We know he had that chip in goal, but overall, like, I just think Kapanen does a little bit more all over the ice. His faceoffs are really solid. I think what St. Louis is seeing here is that, it looks like Newhook is going to probably start at center. It looks like that's kind of where it's trending right now. And if that's the case, then you definitely want to have him playing with somebody who's going to take faceoffs on the right side, which is for sure Kapanen, right? So to me, so to answer your question, Nick, has he done enough? I think so. But like I said, it's going to be a modular setup. And Martin St. Louis is like said it in his press conference, is like, it's not just a race to the opening game of the season, right? It's going to be a race throughout the whole season. He's going to have to continue to earn it. We do put a lot of emphasis on who starts on day one, because we're all excited for the first game of the season, right? But listen, if I had to predict, I think Kapanen will probably be on the opening night roster, but it's going to be up to him to cement that spot. By no means has he cemented a spot on the team, but I think, and PLW here is talking about fundamentals, right? Like, it's true. Like, he's just a good, fundamentally smart hockey player. He's kind of like a Struble, right? Like, where he doesn't do anything amazing, but he just does everything pretty well. And sometimes, like you said, Nick, it's the word glue. You just he's a glue guy that you can kind of put on a line. And, like I said, it's Martin Saint-Louis just going to have to figure out the chemistry. But I think very strong game from Kapanen. We'll talk about the game later. But I think that was a huge win for him in terms of his race over Owen Beck last night. Coach, what do you think?
No, you're right, both of you again about Kapanen. I think did he use Martin Saint-Louis the word computer for Kapanen and Beck, the brain or something like that? He used some kind of comments like that yesterday, if I can. About both of them.
Kapanen has a good computer, like, and that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I didn't hear him say that about Beck. I heard him say that about Kapanen.
Yeah. So anyhow, I think it's good enough for him. Yeah. The key behind that, and I think we won't talk about later, but it's going to be forward 13 or forward 14, Marko, or Nick for the upcoming season. So how many forward you going to keep, and for the roster for next week. So anyhow, that's complete. Here we go. I have my headline, Monsieur Marko and Nick. I did some search about that, Monsieur, and I use your tools, AI, Monsieur Marko, to do that one. And it's coming for Pierre Hood. We call him le Bouffon maintenant, the coach for the Ottawa Senators, Mr. Travis Green. Le Bouffon, he was Pierre Hood during the game yesterday at RDS. Called him that nickname during the third period. And honestly, I know someone, I don't know, is a Gagnon, or no, Norman Flynn. He was said during today, it was, look, it was not his fault. I was disagree with him. I think, honestly, Green, he owns the card, and he decides who's going to play for the game. And after that, he can decide, wait a minute, guys, after one period, second period, we're going to be smart here. We're going to play only hockey. And we don't do anything. We're going to calm down everything. You're in charge behind the bench. And I didn't see any of his behavior. I didn't see after the game. He just said, no, it was not good, honestly, but we move on. And I think I did not like his comments. And they're going to repeat maybe again Saturday. My point behind that, it started with the coach, and the coach did not do his job. You can see the difference between Martin Saint-Louis and the comments he did after the game, and what Travis Green talked about this. I think this is not the kind of hockey we want at the preseason. And the most important thing, Marko and Nick, for me, is about the safety for the players. You have the slash on Nick Cousins. We're going to talk about this later, but we could have a bigger bad moment last night when the Jekai, he almost put his skate in the face of Jake Evans last night. And this is not what we're looking for. That's what we're not looking for about that. So I think for me, I really blame Green behind that. I understand maybe the referee and maybe other circumstance, but as a coach, you run the team, you run the bench, you run the locker room, you are the one, you're the driver of the bus, and I think he completely failed that one over there. He had flat tire last night, and I put him on that one. So Marko, you can pick it up here.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's hard to disagree. I saw that Le Buffon, and Pierre did. I think he referred to some of the players like Hodgson and these des Buffon, right? And listen, like, I get it. It is Green's decision in terms of who he's going to dress, but I think it does say a lot about the Senators the depth of their organization. They don't have as many good young players, serviceable players than Montreal does. Like they just don't have the players to put out a decent lineup like that. So I think that has something to do with it as well too. They just don't have the players to rival Montreal in terms of depth. What's interesting, coach, is that they kind of switched things up on Montreal last night, right? Like originally, if you were following earlier in the day, the Stützle line, Kachuk and Giroux, they were supposed to play. And then when they saw that St. Louis wasn't playing his first line, they decided to switch it at the last minute, which is crazy to me. Like that's really not, I think, professional to do that, because it's not like Montreal. They decided to not dress their first line and then they dress all goons. They did put Jack-Eye, right? But I don't.
Okay.
I just felt it was a strange move for them to just decide at the last minute to do that, right? But it looks like my video is a bit choppy here, guys. I don't know if you can hear me okay, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
I'll
heard
pass it
you
on to
We can
perfectly
hear you,
good.
but you're frozen.
But we heard you very well. That's the funny about
Weird.
that.
Okay, I'm
But
gonna
no way, I'm not going
pop
to
out
put
and pop back in.
a clown picture on your face.
So
Nick, you want to add something about that?
Go ahead, Nick.
yeah, well, I want to mention how the refs also screwed it up. They screwed it up at the end of the second period when that Jack-Eye McEwen situation where they were fighting. Both guys should have been kicked out of the game if they didn't want to lose control of the game. They lost control of the game when they just gave them 5 minutes. They should have thrown them out of the game. I know that obviously Struble got thrown out for his cross check, which makes sense. But it just seemed like the refs lost control of the game, and they deserve a lot of fault for what happened. But when you look at the overall lineup, like Marko says, like they chose not to put their first line at the minute the Habs weren't doing it, which in some way, when I heard that at first, I was like, oh, that's respectful. They're choosing not to play each other's first lines. But now when you look at it in hindsight, it's as if they wanted to just bring in some goons in lineup, and apparently they're going to be gooning it up on Saturday too. It's just they called up a whole bunch of guys from the AHL to play Saturday's game, basically, after sending them back down.
You was said, Nick, about that. So we have to see. We got already the lineup for Saturday. We want to keep that conversation a little bit later in the show. So great headlines for all of us tonight. I appreciate a lot of the comments in the chat. New people pop up. Don't forget, everybody, to click on the like, subscribe, become a member of the Hockey Nation or the Patreon of the Hockey Nation at any time. Like we do after the headline, we go to the NHL news. We have a couple of news, and then I'm going to get some comments for both of you. It's a fun situation, and I'm going to bring some comments in the chat of this also to have that kind of conversation, because I think I have a couple of really important here. First of all, Luke Hughes signed 7 years at $9 million. It was funny because Monday night, so 2 days ago, I have on my Clash. The Clash, Marko and Nick, it's a question. You have to say absolutely or not allowed if you agree or disagree. The question the night, the first one was, do you think Luke Hughes is going to get $9 million? So people in the chat, if you said absolutely, but you was right. If you said not allowed, but you are wrong. So I would like to hear, Marko, about your comments about that signature for Luke Hughes, the impact of that signature, and, of course, for the New Jersey Devils.
I think it's a huge impact for New Jersey. Like, it's a big piece, similar to Mason McTavish, making sure that he gets at least one preseason game under his belt before things going. I know it's a little bit different with goaltenders, but it can really kind of set a negative kind of tone for your season if you don't get to play at least one preseason game. So I think it's really good news for New Jersey just to get him in the lineup. It's a big season for New Jersey, right? Like, they're ready to, you think in their progression, they should be ready to kind of take a bit of a run. I have a lot of questions about their roster still, but they're in that phase of where they are, right? So big signing for them. Get him into the lineup. In terms of the number itself, I think this is a nice deal for the New Jersey Devils. Like with the increase in cap, I think this is a really fair number. Like if you compare it to, say, the Sanderson contract, I think it's right around the same percentage, maybe even a bit less than kind of what the cap is going to be. So we know the implication as Habs fans. We were wondering if the Hudson camp maybe was waiting to see what was going to happen with the Luke Hughes deal before they kind of really dig into negotiations here with Kent Hughes and team. So I think it's a really good deal for both sides. Like nice continuity and guarantee for Luke, and I think it's a good number. Again, to me, it's really comparable with Sanderson, and I think he's going to be an important player for them. The big question is, how is this going to affect, though, the Hudson situation for Montreal, right? So, Nick, do you agree that there is a bit of a parallel between what was going to happen with Lane Hudson and Mr. Yeah.
I heard rumors that they were waiting for the Luke Hughes deal to happen before they know what will happen with the Hudson deal. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, like early in the season, maybe we will see a Lane Hudson contract. And I see it being very similar to like a Dobson deal, because I do think that Hughes getting $9 million means that Hudson will probably need to get more, because I feel that Hudson is a better player right now.
So
and you can easily argue that.
Well, it's subjective, right? Like certainly Hudson is a better offensive player, right? But a lot of people might argue that Luke Hughes is maybe a better defender, bigger size, and things like that. Yeah. So I guess it's subjective, right? But coach, where do you fall on this? Like, do you think this is good news for Montreal, or is this better news for Hudson and his camp?
Lane Hudson. It's going to pay. It's going to be huge money. I think it's going to be 1 or 2 million more at what was expected. At my original point was $10 million, and maybe some flexibility to go lower. But right now, guys, I'm talking about 11, 12.
I think it's going to be 10 most. I think it's going to be like between 9.5 and 10.
Yeah, because one thing that we've noticed, guys, is that Kent Hughes has done a very good job at selling the importance of maybe taking a little less for the team, to build a winning situation, right? So, and to me, Hudson seems like the guy who will totally buy into that. If Slavkovsky, if Caulfield, if Suzuki, and even Dobson and Gooley, like all those guys have bought in to the idea of like, guys, let's take a little bit less so that we can kind of build a winning team here. To me, Hudson, everything we know about him so far is that wants to win. That's the most important thing to him, and he understands the importance of that, right? So I don't think we're going to see a Kaprizov thing here where he's going to try to go get the most money possible. I think he wants it to be fair, obviously. But I don't see him. I think Kent Hughes and him will be speaking the same language. So with that, listen, I still think it will be under 10. I still think we'll be under 10. But again, we're just guessing here for sure. But
so Marko, if you don't mind, I like comments in that chat, by the way, but I want to consist with your conversation so Nick can add after that. But okay, I want you to give us two options. So if you get under 10, what would be the longevity of the contract for that if it's happened that way?
Yeah. So again, and I've seen people saying it's not charity, and I'm not saying it's not charity, but guys, we see that winning organizations convince their players to take a little bit less, to leave a little bit more slice of the pie for some other, for the rest of the guys, so that you can kind of build a winning team. I still listen. I'm always for players getting what they deserve, right? If I had to guess, coach, I call this when we were talking about Caulfield's negotiation. You always get a sense that it may be a smaller player like Hudson is going to want long term, because it's just not a guarantee that that he's not just going to get caught by a guy just one day and just get smushed, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
Hockey players tend to favor security, because hockey is, like we saw it in the last game, you're just one step away from getting a skate across your throat or getting nailed. It's just such a violent, unpredictable environment, right? So if I'm Lane Hudson's camp, I'm definitely going for term, very similar to this, 7 to 8 years. I get what you're saying, Coach, that the longer the term, the higher the AAV is going to be. So I still think they can, be very similar to this deal here. So whether it's 7 times 10, I could see that being a good number for Hudson. I do think that again, I don't see him as a type of guy that's just going to want to bridge, want to maximize his earning potential. I think he wants to buy into the program, be part of the team, and really focus on building a winning culture here. But Nick, I don't know if you agree, right? Like if you listen to Lane Hudson talk, he doesn't seem like a selfish. He doesn't he doesn't seem like a selfish, money driven kid to me. Like, he wants to win, right?
I think he'll see like 9 million, like $10 million is enough to live, and he'll take it.
I think so.
He'll take a little less just to make sure that the team has a better chance of winning. Look at, remember when Kucherov took his deal with the Lightning? It was a little less than market value. That's just an example of a player that took less because he wanted to win. And I feel like Lane Hudson has the same thing in him. I wouldn't be surprised if Demidov has that too, but if Demidov becomes as good as we think he is, he's going to get 12 million plus. By the time it's time to sign him, but we'll see on that. But yeah, no, I see like 7 by 10. Wait, are they still able to sign an 8-year contract before the end of the season, though? I think they still are.
This year, yeah.
I'm surprised no one has done it, though. Like Luke Hughes, like an 8 by 9 could have been.
Yeah, I think that's
what does the 7 do?
Yeah, I think that's probably a negotiation, right? Like he probably, the team probably wanted 8, but he's like, okay, well, I'll go to 7, but I do want a little bit of my free agency years so that I can kind of go past go again, in the Monopoly game. But that's the thing, right? Is you saw some players take 8-year deals like Dobson or whatever, but directly that's a good point, Nick. Like players coming directly out of their entry level contract, we haven't seen many since since the salary cap here come out with a full 8-year deal. That's an interesting point. I wonder, Coach, if that's something that we should keep an eye out on.
Also, at the time Dobson signed his contract, 8 years was the max, and they didn't know that 7 would be the max afterwards. So it's just kind of looking like everyone's taking 6 or 7-year deals now. All of a sudden, it's almost as if like no one wants to sign the 8-year deal anymore. All of a sudden.
Yeah. I see here, like Lucky saying.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick. See Hudson signing it if it's available. An 8 by 10 would make sense.
Yeah, like Lucky, I'm seeing your comment here. Like, you're right. Like from an earning potential, there's no question Matthews is way ahead of the game, right? He signed a 4-year deal. He's going to pass go again, and he's going to make a fuck load of money. Like, there's no question about that. But is that, again, is that going to help the team? And Kaprasov, again, like I think everybody understands the impact of that deal. Like, is it really going, like again, Nick and Coach, you'll remember, like Ken Hughes has been very vocal that he was very inspired by the Boston Bruins style of building the roster, right? Like almost setting like an internal salary cap based on, Patrice Bergeron's salary and everything else. I don't know. It's a different world now with the cap going up. So I don't think you'll be able to keep signing guys under Suzuki's number, but I still think we've seen like Ken Hughes is a very good negotiator, guys. Like it's probably one of the best skills that he has is negotiating, right? So, and selling the guys on the concept that if we want to win something here, we have to kind of like make things work. So maybe I'm being
Yeah.
idealistic. Maybe I'm being a bit naive but everything I've seen about Lane Hudson, guys, makes me believe that he's a team first guy. So I don't
Yeah.
know, Coach. You think he's going to cash out? You think Hudson's going to go balls to the wall, get as much as he can?
But maybe not much like the best he can get, but I think he's going to be. Hudson want a long deal. That's the first thing about that. So sometimes you're looking for players and now maybe go like 3-4 years. We see. In my opinion, I could be wrong here, but I think he's going to get long deal right there. So 7 year, 8 years, and I think he's going to flow around 10 a plus. I like the Nick number too, both of you honestly, but I think it could be 10 to 10.5, maybe $11 million. It's an 8 years deal, and the only difference between a Dobson contract and Hudson is because he was on his third term contract for Noah versus Line is only out of his entry level contract. So yeah, a little bit negotiation there, but also I agree with you, Marco and Nick. Hughes is a great negotiator, and he treat well the players. So, and I feel like Hudson won. Like, no, he won. We know he wants to stay here. He love to be here. So yeah, maybe we'll drop a little bit lower. But if you look about the market right now, I think $11 million is going to be what it should be. But it can go a little bit lower. I'll be shocked it's under $10 million. Could be around here, right? We're not honest who they are, but we have to see a lot of people in the chat. Mr. Anthony Waite, Roger Delaney, Frank Santoro, N26, Ghislain Laframboise. Welcome everybody. Don't forget, please, to click on the like, subscribe, and become a member of the Hockey Nation Live Show. You can join also, of course, the Fantasy Hockey Season 5 of the ESPN Hockey Nation. The draft is going to be Sunday morning after the first show in French of the Hockey Nation. Saturday morning is called Le Déjeuner aux couleurs des Canadiens. It's going to start at 9 o'clock a.m. Sunday morning. You can join me. It's only 1 hour, quick, but I think it will be fun to do this in French. We'll see how it's going to happening there. Anyhow, Kaprizov signed a quick 8-year deal at $17 million. I want your comments about that and what changed now. And are you surprised? Do he deserve that kind of money? I'm going to start with Nick on that one, if you don't mind, Marco, and then I'm going to be following by you, Marco.
No, he doesn't deserve that much. He's a superstar player. Don't get me wrong. I love the player, but 17 million is crazy for a guy who's struggled to stay healthy at times, which maybe prevented him from even winning a scoring title last year. He's maybe a top 15 player, but he's not top 5. And this money is screaming top 5. I understand that the cap is going up, but for him to set the new bar as the highest paid player, that it shouldn't be him doing that. It should be someone like McDavid, which makes sense. If now McDavid might get what, 19-20 million dollars, that's ridiculous to look at. It's a huge jump, and this is now going to set the bar for the superstars in the league. It's ridiculous.
Well, again, like I think it's sticker shock, guys, right? Like we're used to seeing a static salary cap. These numbers, like you said, Nick, like the number, like the highest numbers are just going to continue to exceed each other, right? Like if things are just going to continue to evolve. That's if the cap continues to go up, right? Like one thing I just like to remind people is that at the end of the day, like this money has to go, like the money should go to the players, right? Like it's supposed to be a revenue sharing league, right? So if the league is making this much money, I have no issues with players getting their portion of it, right? Like people tend, like sometimes fans, listen, I understand the argument that ticket prices are too high and everything else, and people tend to kind of have a dotted line in between the high salaries of players and ticket prices, but there's a lot more that goes into that, right? So if you want to have a conversation about affordability in hockey, that's a totally different conversation. As things stand right now, players are getting their portion of the pie, right? Now, Coach, I'm curious, I don't know if you have this number offhand, but what percentage of the cap is a 17%? like based on what the cap is going to, because the cap is going up to what, 105 next year.
Yeah, so next
So
year is supposed to be at 15.7.
so his percentage will be 15.7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that's not unreasonable for
That's
your star player.
bad.
You know, like I don't think it's much higher than say, kind of what some of the other top players are getting in the league, Nick. I think it's pretty similar. Again, like I've said this before, I'll say it again. The way that in my opinion, Nick, I've never told you this before. The way I think it should work, there shouldn't be fixed salaries. It should be percentage of the cap is what you get paid. So if Kaprizov signs for 16.5% of the cap, well, as the cap goes up, so would his salary. If the salary cap goes down, so would his salary. So that way, you don't have
would be good.
Yeah, you don't have any imbalance that way, right? Because it doesn't matter when you signed, your number keeps changing based on what the salary cap is. So that way, you can really slot players in based on kind of what they're worth to the team. So until we fix that, you're always going to have this. Like, think about McKinnon a couple of years ago, guys. He was making $5 million a year, and we were all pulling our hair out thinking, like, how can this guy be making only $5 million a year? But then, then he waits his cycle, and now he's making what, 40 or 13 something $million a year, right? So it's the way that it's set up. It's just flawed. It's kind of, there's a latency to how things work because of how it's set up, right? So, this number, I agree, guys. It's a shock to see the number, and there's no question that McDavid will get higher than this, right? But it's just the way that it's set up now. So you're going to just continue to see players get over this. And let's not forget, for Minnesota, they didn't have a choice, man. Like, you can say what you want about Bill Guerin, but like Minnesota has never had a player like this before. Think about the implications to the marketplace if they were to just let him walk, or if they had to trade him for whatever reason. It would be devastating to that market. They've never had a player like this since Gaborik, right? So tough position for Bill Guerin to be in. But I'm not as critical as everyone. I know people are not going to like my opinion here. It's hard to argue against it. The number looks ridiculous, but when you really look at it, guys, it's fair. Like the players deserve their part of the pie, and we can have a conversation as to whether prices are too high. But until that changes, good for the players, man. Good for them to go get their money.
And it looks like McKinnon gets screwed over again because he should get top 5 money.
Yeah, but until you change that, Nick, like until you change the thing where the percentage, the number changes as the cap goes up, then you're always going to have that. You can't prevent it.
Yeah.
That's a great comment about that. A lot of new people show up. AI is in the house. Gordon is in the house. Welcome back, all of you. Don't forget, please, to click on like. If I forgot one of you, I did not welcome you guys. I apologize. Sometimes I have to listen to Marko and Nick what they said, because I have to follow up with the conversation. But I tried to answer with Marko also what he asked me. So Marko, at the end of this contract, if we are around $130 million, is going to be only at 13.07. It will be under Tressadol and McDavid at that moment. Following you, Marko and Nick, and the people in the chat. PLW brings something good here, and for both of you also did it. I think he get paid because he's the best player for the Minnesota Wild, first of all, right? He's the franchise player for them. You have nobody close to him, by the way. But what is shocking is when you look about his stat. He played in the league for about the last 5 years in the league. He started 23 years old. He missed most of this. He played only one season, guy, with 81 games. All the other is 41, 75, 67, 55. Fragile as a player, honestly. But here's his winning. How many seasons of 50 goals he has in the NHL?
Zero.
Yeah, he had only one season at 100 points before this is in 5 years. Now, of course, he has always an average approximately 1.20 per season. That's where he got his average in NHL. I understand that, but still, if he was played the full time, but little bit injuries So I don't know. He's going to be like 34, 35 years old at the end of his contract. That's another red flag for me. It's high for him, but he had no choice. Like you said, Marko is a franchise player, so at some point they have to pay him. It's just for me, if you evaluate every one of them, he bring another bar of the salary cap, but I think it's a bit too high for what he bring on the table. By the way, if you look a bit more, I believe since they play, maybe they won one playoff, or they won only one series playoff since he's with them.
We were having this debate yesterday. We were having this debate yesterday, Coach, about how it's tough to, like, one player. It's a team sport. Minnesota hasn't really had, the players really, like, they've been in this weird era where they were kind of in cap hell with the Suter and the Parise, kind of buyouts and everything. So you can't put that on Kaprizov necessarily. I'm with you 100% on him being fragile, but that's why you have insurance, right? Like the insurance on that contract is going to be bananas, But is he the player that I would choose to build my franchise around? Probably not, because of everything that you just said, right? But I agree. Like Nick, go ahead with your point. But Bill Guerin didn't have any chance. He didn't have any choice, man. Like, what's he going to do here?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, I think he's worth like $13-14 million. He's a superstar. He's incredible. But like the fragility of the situation where he's always hurt, that's got to knock money down. And he shouldn't have the capability to be the top player right off the bat.
But so that's the thing, Nick. So it's whoever is going to be next was going to be the top player, right? It's like what people in their mind, I think, are seeing is, okay, he's now the highest paid player ever in NHL history in terms of total dollars. But it's not because it doesn't mean that he's the best player ever or the best player right now. It's just the timing. That's all it is timing, right? Like if Draisaitl would be signing today, he would be the highest paid player in the NHL. Like that, it's just timing. So, guys, we can't. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him for sure. But whoever was going to sign it, whether it was Kucherov, whether it was if it's Kyle Connor, if Kyle Connor signed right now, he might have been the highest paid player for the Winnipeg Jets, because he's probably going to make over $14 million as well, guys. And people are going to be shocked about that too.
Yeah, I would look at it as maybe, him too. Maybe now $13 million, $14 million. But he's a superstar, but he's on the lower end of superstars. Yeah. I think Kaprizov is more skilled, and of course Guerin had to do it. There's no doubt about it. But I think that he was being a little greedy. If you want to, players should want to win at that point.
Exactly what we were saying about Hudson. Exactly what we were just saying about Hudson.
Right? I feel like that's where Kaprizov is completely the opposite, where he's just trying to get his bag, and then when it's over. At least he made the money, but he didn't win a Stanley Cup.
It doesn't look good on him.
He take advantage of the situation to get more money he can get, and whatsoever he deserve it or not. One thing I would say to you, really impressive for me, is he has a percentage of 16.4 shooting percentage on goal. That's very high. Like average is 10.5, 10.8. He has like average per 82 game, 16.4. This guy is really special. So when he showed the puck go in, usually he have an average about 500 shots per season attempts. Everything like that. The only problem he has 61 hit per game, but it's not part of his game, honestly. So it's not big deal. We have a few people knock the door. Don't forget, please, to click on like. If you don't mind, that'd be great. Just a quick news here. Then we move for the Montreal Canadiens, if you don't mind. The Edmonton Oilers got the goaltender Connor Ingram from the team Utah. It was a trade. It was not on the waiver. So they trade for consideration future. Not big deal there. All the players for yesterday on the waiver, only one got claimed is Tyson Just from the Predator Nashville. 38 today is on the list. and not big name. By the way, and I'm going to give you a couple injuries around the league. The Seattle announced that Don is day to day. Hollander is going to be a long-term injury reserve. I think is 8 to 10 weeks. Justin. Jonathan Taze is on day-to-day with the Winnipeg Jets, following by the Nashville. Wood is going to be week-to-week. Evans, this is a big, huge right there, defenseman, 6 to 8 weeks. And then Oliver Bonk is going to be out with an upper body for a minimum of 2 weeks. For that, that's the one also we want to mention to you. Eric Johnson retired at 37. First round pick, I believe, with the St. Louis Blues a couple of years ago. And he have a really great career with the Colorado Avalanche. She's a little bit really the more popular players right there behind Lester Guy McKinnon. And he retired today at 37. And finally, we have Cousin Hudson fine for the game yesterday, so we'll talk about this the next couple of minutes. Kuznetsov signed with the Metabour Marko and the KHL, so no, he posed on the, of course, on the NHL. Finally, the NHL team value, guys, 2025. We're going to talk about this Thursday night at the show. Or Friday night, so don't worry about that one. And like we do, guys, after the NHL, we do, of course, the Montreal Canadiens. So let's take a quick break for about a couple of seconds. Then I'm back with the Montreal Canadiens for everybody want to talk about. Here we go. We are back for the Montreal Canadiens. Everybody in the chat want to know that. Thanks N6 for mention, N26 for mention 2006. I appreciate a lot. And let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, we're going to look about what happened yesterday. But before that, I think everybody wants to know it's about injuries update. Evan Demidov is okay, no fracture. We expect him to be on the ice tomorrow. And then we expect also Noah Dobson play or return Saturday night at the game. So I don't know if you want to have a specific comments or you heard another update, Nick or Marko, about Demidov or any injury for the Montreal Canadiens.
I mean, it's good that he's okay. Like, that was definitely very scary, and it was definitely nerve-wracking last night, not knowing what was going on. It was good to hear that, like, he will be okay for the season. I don't think he'll be playing Saturday. We might as well just leave him out. But, yeah.
I agree with you.
So, in addition to Dobson, I think same thing with Gouli, right? Like, Gouli also kind of out with a groin. It sounds as though both Dobson and Gouli, if we were in regular season, they'd be playing. So, I think we'll see if they both play on Saturday, but I think we'll see, unless something changes. I think we're close to seeing a healthy lineup. And guys, let's take a moment to relish that, because that's not always been the case. Like last year, knock on wood, pretty decent in terms of injuries, and good that Montreal looks like they're going to be starting the season. Maybe I should stop talking right now because maybe I'm jinxing things just as I say that, but. It looks like they're going to have a full roster for the beginning of the season here, which is
great point about that. Few people knocked the door. Thanks so everybody. And of course, going to talk about the game at 5-0 Montreal win yesterday. And we're going to talk about different things happening. We're going to see, we have a couple of more subjects to talk about. So let's talk, of course, of the game. And what we have to remember, guys, is the line yesterday was Gallagher, Doc, Bolduc, I believe. New York, Kapanen, Demidov, Jekai, Evans, and Anderson, and Liney, Veleno, Beck. I apologize, guys, I didn't put 1, 2, 3, 4, just put this all together, so don't worry about that. But honestly, the news was on the 152 penalty minute, Marko and Nick. And that's happening that. And the next thing before we move on, guys, 5 goals, Kapanen, Liney, Hudson, Doc, and Carrier. So let's start with Marko. I think everybody in the chat would like to sharing their thought. So let's start with Marko. What do you think overall of this game?
So before we get into the actual game, like we talked about earlier, just kind of weird lead up to the game where Ottawa did say that they were going to be playing the Stützle line, so it looks like they were going to have a pretty full lineup. And then they decided at the last minute to change their lineup, and then we kind of saw what happened from there. So, kind of bush league, in my opinion, a little bit there from Ottawa, kind of switching things up. Maybe they saw that okay, both Jack eyes were in the lineup, so maybe they saw that as a threat, and they decided to kind of go full Neanderthal, in this game, right? So overall, coach, like in terms of the lines, like I'll leave some meat on the bone here for Nick, so he can go after me. But so I'll talk about kind of a couple of the performances here. Like I'll focus on Doc because we already talked about Kapanen a little bit. We didn't talk about Doc very much yet, and I think he looked pretty good last game. Like I'm not sure I would love to see this line in the regular season here, Budzik and Doc and Galley together. Although, like you said, Nick, Galley had a good game, 3 assists. Like I think no matter where you plug Galley short term, he's going to have a good impact. But I liked Doc is looking like he's moving pretty good, right? Like his acceleration is good. Like he's carrying the puck pretty well. Some nice puck carries. Obviously, there's still a bit of rust there with his touches. His vision is still not the best, but that give and go play that he had was amazing. Like that. I don't think enough people are talking about that goal that Doc scored, guys. Like that was really crazy hand-eye coordination, like beautiful hand-eye coordination, and it shows you that the skill that Doc does have, right? So still a lot, to go in terms of him being full speed here. And again, coach, I don't think they had all the stats for the game in Quebec, but I'm not sure what his face-offs were, Doc, last night, but it didn't look like he won some key ones. I don't know where he finished, but something that they'll continue to have to watch with him. But I really like Doc's game. One thing, guys, can we talk about Bolduc a little bit?
I have a question for A2, so let's do it.
Okay, do you want to talk about Bolduc? Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Like I'll say my bit on Bolduc, and then we can kind of talk about that. Like, listen, I think we're all excited about the move for Bolduc, but am I the only one wondering, like, is there more going on here? Like, okay, like, yes, he's had a couple of hits in the offensive zone. He's won a couple puck battles, but haven't seen him use that shot. Haven't seen him really kind of hit any chemistry yet with anybody that he's played with. I'm not saying I'm concerned. I'm just saying we haven't really seen much from him yet. Am I the only one seeing that? Is it okay to say that?
No, you're right. It's been really disappointing. Like I remember I was at the game against the Flyers, and it felt like I couldn't see him at all. And then I started to think, okay, maybe Joshua being on that line with Newhook and him is the issue. And Kapanen, again, like he's the reason why I'm saying he's a glue guy because of that game. It's the one game that I felt Bolduc did something. Other than that, like there's been a couple hits. He's not really showing much. Is he the type of player that might disappear if he's not scoring goals? I know he's going to be a sniper, a bit of a sniper. So if he's obviously not scoring right now. So, but I do see that he has a good shot, but it really is disappointing.
So I think one thing that I've realized, Nick, is that you have, like, let's say if you compare him to someone like Cole Caulfield, okay? Cole Caulfield can create his own shots. Like he can stick handle and he can kind of like put himself and create his own chances. Haven't really seen that from Bolduc yet. And again, I've watched something. I watched some games of the Blues, and I think everybody went back and watched his goals. A lot of the goals were kind of passes from Robert Thomas and stuff like that. A lot of the goals were crashing to the net. Picking up. So it's either he was in the high slot with a really, really beautiful wrist shot, one-timer, which is amazing. Or the other type of goal I've seen him score was, picking up garbage in front of the net. But you don't see him. I haven't seen too much of him being able to create his own chances like other wingers like Caulfield. Even Laine can create his own chances. Now, Laine gets himself in trouble by overhandling the puck and things like that, but he can create his own chances. So to me, that's why I didn't love this matchup or this combo for Bolduc either. Doc
No.
is not really at the peak of his powers yet in terms of being a playmaker. Galley, had some nice touches yesterday, but he's also more of an F1 than a playmaker. So again, I think everybody since the beginning of the year since the beginning of the camp, we've wanted to see Budzik and Demidov together because
Yes.
we're talking Demidov is with Suzuki and Hudson, the best playmakers on the Montreal Canadiens, right? So Nick and coach, like, why is Martin Saint-Louis waiting? Does he not want to see that combination? Like,
honestly, I don't understand why it wasn't tried, at least for one game. Like, I understand, like, maybe thinking like Newhook and Demidov because they have shown chemistry before, but why not also add Bolduc on that line? Like, you didn't have to remove the whole line and add Kapanen in there. Kapanen's good and all, but it would have been nice to see Bolduc with an actual playmaker like Demidov. And the reason why Newhook fits so well is because of his speed. He's a guy that could also be kind of like a glue guy that kind of sets up the play by skating the puck up.
yeah.
But like I just don't quite understand how Bolduc is going to be able to succeed without a playmaker. The more you watch him, the more you realize he cannot do. He's not a guy that can create his own chances.
Or not yet, right?
Like
Like maybe there's
yeah.
we haven't seen it yet, so there's
true.
still
He's
time.
only 21, 22, so
Yeah,
time.
and again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm giving up on him or whatever, right? I'm just saying that so far, like the fan base has seemed very, very patient with him so far. You haven't heard many people. If there was another player, you might have heard a little bit more rumbles in the fan base. So far, people have been pretty patient. I'm just saying it would be interesting to see more. So, Nick, I think coach wants us to kind of like go through some of the game here too. So, there's many ways we can look. This game, it's kind of hard to evaluate, right? Because there's so many penalties, not that much 5-on-5 play. So before we get into the game breakdown, are there any other players, like from a player evaluation perspective, Nick? Is there anybody else you want to highlight? Obviously, we know the race between Veleno, Beck, and Kapanen and Jackeye, I guess, for 12, 13, 14 forwards.
Oh,
obviously, you've been pretty vocal that Kapanen might have distinguished himself, but other than Kapanen, who do you think was the winner last night from those three other players that are fighting for a spot?
I mean, it is Jackeye just because he brings that toughness. But there's no way that Beck or Jackeye will be playing 13th or 14th forward. You need to play them down. If they don't make the roster, they need to go down, and that's at the end of the day, that's what I would do. Unfortunately, basically, Veleno and Blais will be the 13th and 14th forward at the end of the day. There's the competition. There was a competition between 13th and 14th between them. Veleno cleared Blais by far on that. And now Kapanen has won the 12th forward, in my opinion, unless there's one player that it's possible. Jackeye. If they want to go bring someone tougher to be on like a fourth line, maybe move up a Gallagher or an Anderson up to like a third line role, because that can be done too. It's the bottom six, but Jackeye could come in and play on for if they want like a tougher lineup to start the season.
Yeah. So to wrap up on player evaluations, you have to mention Dobesh, right? Hasn't allowed a preseason goal yet. Again, granted, he hasn't faced a lot of grade A scoring opportunities in the half game he played, and even in this game, I think maybe 2 to 3 high danger scoring chances that he faced in this game. So I think and then on the D, like I think overall is a solid game. Like we'll talk about the extracurriculars in a minute, but solid game I think from the whole D core. Nothing. I don't think anything happened last night that affects the race. I think the race for the D slots, like the 7D, is already figured out, right? So I don't think we need to spend too much time on that. So I think that's it, coach. From a player evaluation, coach, or from a race, for the roster before we get into the actual game? Is there anything that you wanted to comment on before we move on to the actual game?
No, but I think you talk about Budzik, and I would say to you, we don't see enough for him to judge him. A little bit like Noah Dobson. I don't think so. Noah was impressive so far. I think you have a lot of things to learn on front, like the system, first of all, and to play with teammates. We know Dobson play with Madison, but for Budzik, changing left and right, is too early. But again, it depends what the people, the fans expected. If you're thinking Budzik is a top 6, I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to be a top 6 in the NHL. It's not a guy who's going to score 25, 30 goals regular per season. He's going to pop up at maybe 18, 20, 22 goals, maybe at some points on his career. But I think he brings some specific role with the Montreal Canadiens.
Let me pause you there then. I know it's way early to have this discussion, right? But do you agree trading a potential top 4 right-handed defenseman if Budzik doesn't end up being a top 6 player? Did Montreal way overpay?
Not at all.
For a top 9 winger?
Not at all.
No.
Because maybe Montreal thinking Mayu is not a top 4. It's maybe more a third pairing defenseman. And then
I don't
can be a good player, the third line, to bring some kind of what you're looking for. So I think he's going to be a middle 6 players to be a top 6 player. That's how I see him. For with the Montreal Canadiens. Now, this is my projection. I could be off. It could become more better, but still, he's only 21 years old at the end of the day. But he brings something we don't have a lot. We don't have a Doc or New Hook or those kind of third line right now. One Anderson be gone. That kind of the grinder and the sandpaper and go to Fort checking a lot. We don't have those kind of players right there with skill and talent like Budzik. I believe we don't have those kind of players. So, but to consider him a top 6, I don't see that right now. I never see him last year with the Blues to be a top 6. He's more like for me a third line plus. If you need some kind of help at the top 6 for some time, yes, but not much at this.
Okay, so now that brings the question, like, what do you do with Laine? Like, who's going to play on the second line? Because Laine Demidov does not work. That's one thing that's clear. So one of them is going to have to be down on the third line no matter what. So would you put Budzik in the top 6 in that aspect?
Yeah, at short term, because we don't have what we're looking for. But I think at some point, like we talk about the next 2-3 years, you will have to have a better player at Budzik to be at the top 6 versus, and I don't think Laine is the answer for me. So right now, you just use what you got. It's a little bit like, I think we all agree here, Kubidak is not a second center yet, but we don't have no choice. So what do you do? Maybe bring Velino, Kapanen, or New Hook. Same situation right now with Budzik, with Laine. But I don't see me a Budzik top 6, my opinion.
So, Nick, similar to my headline, right? Like where I was saying after the first line, it's all modular, it's all balanced, right? So for me, I agree. Like I never like the idea of having Demidov, Doc, and Laine together on the same line. It's just like I really believe in having different jobs on the line, right? So you want a playmaker, you want a shooter, and then you want a puck retriever. Ideally, right? Like it's very hard to quantify chemistry, between guys, right? But you want guys that are able to do different things on a line. And sometimes when you have players that play the same, and to be honest, Nick, you're not the only one. Most people love Evans, Gallagher, and Anderson together. But to me, I would spread those guys around the lineup because they're all very defensive and good puck pursuit guys and very aggressive, right? So why have all of your most responsible players all on one line? Spread them around. Have one on each line so that you have a defensive conscience on each line rather than like I just don't understand the concept of putting all of your best offensive players on one line, all of your best defensive players on one line. Try to find some balance. Try to find so that you're able to roll those 4 lines. So we're not going to be able to predict that. We're not going to predict where, like, because he's kind of had it out in a blender here, But we can say that Laine probably had his best game playing with Veleno. So
Mhm.
what does that say? What does that say? Like somebody. So we didn't talk about Veleno. I'm with you, Nick. I think he right now he at the very least he's going to probably be Montreal's 13th forward. I think
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think he's done anything to disqualify himself from that. I don't know. I still think that they have Kapanen ahead of him, but we'll have to see. So, in
Yeah.
terms of player evaluation, Nick, let's talk about the game a little bit because I think people are
Yeah.
itching to talk about the game. Like a crazy game. Again, very hard to I think if you're the Montreal Canadiens, they did the best that they could to handle what the Senators were doing, and they got something out of the game. Like I think from a
Yeah.
team building perspective, they were able to kind of show the league and show themselves that they can stand up for each other. They can play in this kind of game if they need to. So that's a positive. They got to practice the power play a lot, right? So that's, I guess, a positive. And overall, I
Mhm.
think they're pretty solid defensively. From a sense perspective, I don't know what they're getting from this game. Like
Um,
both Travis Green and Saint Louis talked about how they weren't happy with the beginning of their season. Again, like
yeah.
Le Buffon, like Coach was saying, like I'm not sure what Travis Green is getting out of
Yeah.
this game. But what was your take, like Nick? Like, do you find it hard to evaluate things because
Yeah.
there's so
It
little
was,
5-on-5 play?
the only thing I could truly evaluate is that Jacka is definitely going to be an NHLer soon. Of course, I think they're going to want to see him go down and maybe develop his offensive game a little more, and that'll be great for him going forward. But like aside from that, it was hard to evaluate what these guys were doing 5-on-5. Of course, like you did say, Line did have his best game at 5-on-5, but he didn't get much ice time 5-on-5 because there wasn't much ice time to see. And I guess that says the same thing about Valeno. A lot of people, like I wrote today that he didn't really stand out yesterday, but he didn't really get any much time to play. Maybe a
Yeah.
little bit of PK time, but like
Like I said, he
the
hasn't
minutes,
hurt himself. Like, he hasn't done anything to hurt himself, right? But he
no,
hasn't done anything really to seize that like a full time starting role either, right? Like he hasn't. Like again, he's used his speed. Like he's been overall in pretty good position. Hasn't created that much, like in terms of offense, which it's fine. Like that's not what you're necessarily looking for. He's been efficient though. Like the faceoffs have been better for sure. Again, we don't have the numbers. I think for the face-offs in Quebec City because the official stats weren't as clean as NHL rinks, but we know that he was over 70% the game before that. So listen,
yeah,
like I said, I don't think he's played himself out, but I don't think some people were talking like, hey, maybe Veleno could end up playing with Line and Demidov, like because when they were practicing together this summer, was there an opportunity
yeah.
like that for Veleno if he came like it was up to him to kind of go out and get it, but I don't think he's done that. But I don't think he's hurt himself that much either.
No, he's not hurt himself, but he's not like progressed himself up the lineup. For
Yeah,
that's I think he is what he is now, and I think he is going to be a fourth line, 13th forward in the NHL if he can keep going. Like Tony Marinaro talks about how this truly is his last chance in the NHL because he played for three. He got traded 3 times in the last year or
yeah,
so, and
that's a
it's
reality
been
check,
rough.
right? So
Yeah,
let's talk about Florian, guys, because I know everybody's probably itching to do that. So it's been kind of the talk in Habs land here. Obviously, we love that he stood up for his teammates. And I think he did pretty well in that situation. And I don't think he looked out of place. But to our point, Nick, not a lot of 5-on-5 play. He didn't look out of place there. But other than the goal that he scored, can you Coach and Nick? I'll ask you both. Like, what do you think of Jackai's game? And is there enough sample size to really understand yet if he's ready, if it makes sense for him to start the season in Montreal, or does it make more sense to go to Laval? Like, I don't think that game helps us other than the character thing, like other than him being a, the confidence of having him in the lineup, the swagger that he brings and all that. I understand all that. But purely from a hockey perspective, where do you think he is right now? Do you think he adds value to the Canadiens lineup, or is he better to go to Laval?
I think he's better to go to Laval to start the season. But here's the thing. I think he's also in a place where if it was come playoff time, they would need him on a fourth line. They could use him like his physical play in the playoffs. But come the regular season, I think to maybe improve his offensive game, because it's not all there yet. He still has some work to do before he's completely NHL ready. He's getting close, but there's definitely
His
more
puck,
that
his puck handles were much better. Like I'll be the first to admit it. I underestimated him. Like his puck handles are way, way better than I thought they were going to be, even in Laval and even what I've seen in Montreal. So there's a lot you can see. He's still growing. He's still learning. But coach, like, where are you at with Florian right now? Like, based on what you've seen so far in the camp, where
Yeah,
do you see the best spot for him?
Laval, no doubt in my mind. Not only because his play, I think he's not ready yet for NHL as a hockey player. He brings something we don't have. That add more physicality, everything like that, swag, like you use the term. But he's still not ready yet. Some people said it'd be better for him to play around with the Montreal Canadiens and then at Laval Rocket. But it's sometimes you get caught because the circumstance happen in the team. And if, example, they put Florent Jacquet there, they will have to return Kapanen and Beck. Now you tell me, oh, but they can do the same thing with Veleno and Blair. Maybe you're right about that, but you'll be scared a bit to lose those two players on the waiver, or they go to Laval, and now you have 13, 14, 13, 14 players like Kapanen, Beck, and Jacquet. That's not going to work. So for me, you're going to protect Blair and Kapanen and Veleno. Sorry, to have Veleno and Blair together, that's give you 12 and 13. You have an extra players. I think right now Kapanen is on the front of Jacquet. That bring now Beck and Kapanen and Laval and Jacquet and Laval with Beck. That's how I see the next thing will happen with Martin Saint Louis. And again, it's not because Jacquet is not a bad player or anything. He's just not ready to play the game properly the right way with the Montreal Canadiens. And I think that's the reason behind that. And it's going to be better for him to be start at Laval, play on the top 9 players with the team, get your team, your special team, everything, play your 18 minutes, and prove what you need to work on it. I think his 200 feet game is not perfect at all. And, that's a part of what you grow is really play better what many fans expect me. I already see him last year many times. So I knew what it's going to be. But he really, and we all knew this at the beginning and September, before the beginning of the training camp, we say, Jacquet is going to push everybody around. He's going to try to make the team. We knew that, and but I think the benefit for all of them, Montreal Canadiens and for Jacquet, is going to be starting Laval, in my opinion.
Well, it's less fun when we all agree, but I think we all agree.
Yeah.
That's the best thing at this point. Great point by like A2 doesn't think that Delano will clear waivers. I don't know. I think he might. Like it's hard to, you never know, right? Guy George head to the dojo a few times a week. Yeah, no, for sure that I think Jack, I'd like to be part of the same dojo that he's part of for sure. But a good shot, guys. I think it makes the most sense. They say in Pierre Rude would say, "Il a laissé sa carte d'appel," right? So he definitely left his calling card. Really, really good camp by Florian, and who knows, he might get another game. He's going to be on that list of potential first call-ups, depending on who would get injured with Montreal. But this is an asset that maybe, some people snickered a little bit when they said that he was a bit of a unicorn. it's not out of the realm of possibility here that you have a potential, kind of power forward guy that can score 15 goals in the NHL, be a physical presence. I think he's more of a winger than a center, guys, but
Yeah, me too.
great asset. Like for where Montreal drafted him, like great asset. A little bit disappointing for Beck,
Yeah.
he definitely had a chance. Like I think he was right there with Kapanen, right? But I don't know.
I
What do you
have
think, Nick?
bad news about that. I don't see a world where Beck and Kapanen can coexist in the Habs organization.
That's a good point.
You need to have one or the other. So obviously Kapanen's ahead now, and Beck is a year younger, so we can look at it that way. Like, okay, he's got another year to develop, but maybe we give it one more year, and Beck may have to be traded next summer.
Well, there's a redundancy there, right? Well, there's a redundancy
they're very
there.
similar.
Well, not only again, there's a redundancy, Nick, with the right-hand shot. You've already got Suzuki, Evans, and then you have
that's why.
Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes is a right-hand shot, and then you have Beck and you have Kapanen.
So many right-handed guys? All they could find were right-handed guys somehow for center.
Crazy.
I don't know. It's crazy how it worked out that way, but the Kotkaniemi didn't work out, so that's what happened. All the right-handed guys became something. Evans too.
Coach, to wrap on the game, I think it was an entertaining game, and this, like, who doesn't like, it was fun to watch. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Just a little note, guys, like the Sens do play, I think, one more time before they play Montreal on Saturday. So all these players that they called up from the AHL, let's not necessarily jump to the conclusion that those are the players that they're going to play in Montreal. Right. It could just be for the next game because they have one more game in between, right? So we'll see what happens on Saturday. I hope, I hope that we see full lineups on Saturday. Like, even though it's fun and it was interesting to see all the shenanigans and everything, we learned from last year, guys. Like last year, this is exactly where things went off the rails for Montreal. They didn't ice their full lineup in the last game of the preseason, and they started the season on the wrong foot here. So I really, really would like for St. Louis to have what he thinks is going to be his lineup going into the season, but we'll have to see what happens on Saturday.
We'll have to see tomorrow what the lines are, because that could say a lot, I think. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Kapanen, Demidov, Newhook are together again, though, just because what they did.
I'd like to see something like, if you're going to kind of experiment, just continue experimenting, right? Like just, try something, like, unless you made up your mind 100%, but I don't know, Coach, what do we have next? What do we have next after the game here?
About that, we have more other things to talk about, if you don't mind. It was also the play for me was to ask you about Hudson best. I think Lane Hudson is the best player since the beginning of the exhibition game. Everybody was a little bit nervous, the second year for the player, but Lane Hudson play like he left the last game with the Montreal Canadiens. He's the same guy. He carried on that team, in my opinion. He transformed the system. Every time he's on the ice, something happened. For me, this is the best player they have, Montreal Canadiens. And it's amazing. Like, this kid is like, blew my mind. Like, I knew he was going to be good. I knew he was going to be a good hockey player. But the way he play, it's, guys, we are lucky to have a player like Lane Hudson. We are just lucky. In my opinion, this is a lucky charm for Ken Hughes, because this is a guy could be the first overall pick, in my opinion. He played at that level, a little bit like Ken McCall example. I don't say he's a Ken McCall, but the quality of his play, what he brings on the team, it's a first overall pick for now, in my opinion. So Montreal, wow.
In a redraft, it would be interesting to see, right? Like where he should go.
Between him, Cooley, and Slavkovsky.
Yeah.
The next one I want to talk about, if you don't mind, is Tobash. Perfect. 0 goal. He's the only goalie in the NHL did not give any goals so far in the exhibition game. Honestly, he played one game in half of the game. But the reason I want to bring that is this year we at the beginning of the training camp, and that's what amazing for me, guys. Most of them were with maybe just work well, maybe, but still I think well have a better camp this year like he was last year. I think no one of them have a really bad camp. Like they don't have bad camp. And Kakkonen have a good camp, of course. Although the fact he gave the first goal, but Fuller did also. By the end of the day, Tobesh show exactly why he have to be the second backup. But with that kind of schedule, Marko, Tobesh have to play a big role for the success of Montreal for the upcoming season.
Oh yeah,
I think we mentioned it in our game recap, Nick. It is pretty. He didn't allow any. Again, not a lot of high danger scoring chances against Dobesh. Like one trend I'll notice here, guys, for Dobesh, the team seems to play very well in front of him. Like you remember when he came in last season. The game that they played against Florida, where he got that shutout in his first game, that was probably the best game Montreal played all season. Like they like Coach, you'll remember, like I think they only allowed like 4 scoring chances that game, right? So he played really well, but I don't know, how sometimes you can't explain it, how teams just play differently in front of guys. I'm not saying they don't like Montembeault or they play badly in front of him, but I don't know. Like they seem, maybe it's because they play a little bit tighter because he's in there. I don't know, but they tend to play really well defensively when he's there. And what I've liked mostly about Dobesh is that, like Coach, we've talked about this, and Nick, you've probably noticed. You watch the Laval games too. The one criticism and the concern that I had with him is that he's a little too active in his net, right? Like a little too busy, But I think he's looked very, very like his movements have been very calm, and he's been a little bit more quiet during the preseason. So, and sometimes, when you're overactive, you can, and we saw this in the playoffs at some points with Dobesh, is that the rebound control and everything else, he makes dramatic, really incredible saves, but that's because he's a little bit out of position or, allowed rebounds and stuff, right? So that's, I think, Nick, what I like the most so far is just how calm and controlled he's looked so far. But do you think I'm onto something there? Like, do you see the team play differently when Dobesh is there versus Montembeault?
I've definitely seen that. Like when Dobesh is in nets, the defense always plays tighter, and I think it has something to do with it being a rookie goalie, and maybe now they're seeing that, like, okay, he can actually make good, be a good enough goaltender to maybe take a couple risks, because there was a game I think I remember they lost 1-0 when he played against Calgary. They didn't really they played great defensively that game, but that's all they did was play defensively, and that's just one thing that they need to maybe they need to balance it out sometimes. But it worked when Dobesh was in that first couple.
So, Coach, you've been in dressing rooms. Is that a thing? Like, do you maybe you can explain to us why is it that teams play differently in front of certain goaltenders, and is that something that you see between Dobesh and Montembeault? Like, do you notice that the team plays differently when he's in there?
Yeah, they plays a little bit like when you play your backup goaltender. Like any team, not only Montreal, the team is going to play a bit more together, like more in front of the net, more collapse together to bring more the defensive, to be sure. Be careful with a rebound or make less mistake or not make try to make any chance. Like, they want to open up for a 2 versus 1 because, Andre Risco, Carey Price behind, it's not the same style. So it's not about they don't believe or they don't trust Tobesh. It's just normal to have a backup number 2. You're a little bit different. But what I want to bring to both of you, and I think Marko will be agree, the big strength for Tobesh for me, in my opinion, and I know you talk about unbalance, everything like that, or his movement quicker, it was a little bit, I think is the lower body. What I'm talking about is really better this season so far is how he play with his pad. He is really like low pad, and he protect more. He will move up, or you don't like the VN on the goaltending. He's
Reverse
really
kick.
strong low. And yesterday, I 2-3 times, I believe, he had the puck movement and left and right in front of him. You can see he was covered the net completely at the low, at the raw of the ice yesterday by the way he was on posture. I really like that one for him. He's a big goalie. He's what, 6'5", I believe he is, or 6'4".
Yeah. I love the comment from Nas. He looked a little bit like Ben Bishop in that. That's an interesting comparison. Similar size. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good. So that's the fun right there. So that is will be that one for sure. Going to move on if you don't mind. We really have a little bit more, but I think we have the time we have with Nick. But I'm going to a little bit to ask a question. If you can give that answer, guys. We do this usually a bit early in the show, but we have a lot of things to talk about tonight. But can you name the most recent winner of the Rocket Richard Trophy who is not longer an active NHL player?
Interesting.
No, he's active still.
How much time do we have here, Coach?
1 minute.
1 minute? Okay, let me think this through here. I'm debating between two players, two former Atlanta Thrashers.
Okay.
Could it be between Kovalchuk and Danny Heatley?
Okay.
I'm thinking of a Canuck. I'm not sure if he actually won it though. Oh no, he maybe not. No, I don't think he won. I'm thinking of the Art Ross. There's no way he won that.
Marcus Desmond, you think?
No, it was Sedin. It was Daniel Sedin.
Oh.
But
No, he never.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Who's your guess, Nick?
I'm gonna go. Why? I guess it would be Kovalchuk.
A lot of comments in the chat. We have Kovalchuk, Bure, Igila. We got someone else early before that. And so far, we don't have the right answer so far. I'm good.
Oh, it's Le Cavalier.
What?
No, he never won Le Cavalier never won the.
Yes, he did in 2007.
Really? Yeah.
The answer, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get that one roll.
Chichu. Wow. Remember Chichu won the.
He was right. Vincent Le Cavalier. He did it.
Wow.
For the Tampa Bay Lightning is the last one. Is not an active player right now.
That long ago, though.
So,
it's been that long since.
Yeah.
I guess Ovechkin really dominated for that long too. Every Rocket Richard. I guess that's what that.
That's crazy.
That's what that means.
A2 called it Jonathan Chichu. That was a crazy season that he had playing with Joe Thornton. He scored like 54 goals or something like that. Crazy.
56.
56? Crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. Amazing about that. We have a couple of subjects we're going to get there. If you don't mind, really quickly, just give you an idea, guys. The Laval Rocket camp is restart. He start now, and today they talk about David Rebecca. They have a new plan for him for the head coach Pascal Vincent. Not the plan like only on the injury, because it's not like a knee, right? It's not like you cannot do anything. Because he's only a hand, so he can do more things. So you have a plan, and then they want to work on his mindset of the game for David Rebecca. We're going to see how long he's going to get out. Some Montreal announced 4 weeks, and a doctor from someone else said maybe go to 6 weeks. Something going to follow up. I don't want to go too deep about that for the Laval Rocket. And then we have Joshua Roy is going to meet the management of the Montreal Canadiens this weekend and maybe request a trade. I don't know if it's true or not, or maybe to look more about his future. Again, it's not Joshua Roy, it's going to be his agent, but the camp of the Roy is going to meet the Laval at the Montreal Canadiens to see a bit more what's going to happen. And then I want to give you a little bit more. The preview of the game Saturday, again, Ottawa, Montreal. I want to know, we know, like you said, Marko, they play in the Blues tomorrow night. and they're going to see what they look like, the Ottawa lineup, and then they're going to return in Montreal Saturday to play there. Again, Montreal Canadiens, but whatsoever they call 8, 9, 10 player for Ottawa Senator, we don't know what you're going to dress. The good news for Montreal, they have to give them their lineup before the Montreal put their lineup on the roster. But how Montreal have to react with whoever they are, or is it an NHL team versus an American hockey team? What would Montreal should do?
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, what Montreal should do, they should try to, like we were mentioning during the show, is that they need to have, they need to put their lines together. So if they have like a plan of a certain line, they need to play those lines. I think everyone should play the final game of the preseason. At least the players that you think are going to make the team, or that are going to make the team. I think the Habs should even maybe cut everyone before Saturday to make sure that they have their team set. That's how I always view it.
So I'm
No
with you,
matter
Nick.
how.
Yeah, like I'm with you 100%. The only thing I would say is unless somebody is not 100%, like let's say Demidov is a little sore on his wrist or whatever, then I wouldn't
Yeah.
play them, right? But
Okay, yeah,
so I would
good.
still be somewhat cautious, like if somebody's nursing something. But coach, we've been all over this all summer. Like Montreal needs, and so far, like you were saying, nobody's really had a bad camp. It's hard to be critical other than the Toronto game where there was kind of a bit of a no-show. Overall, it's been a pretty good camp. We've seen pretty good intensity, and that was critical. Like Montreal cannot afford to have a sloppy start like they did last year. And coach, I believe if you watch Hockey Nation, we were the first ones on that here. Like we were all over the training camp as the main problem heading into it. We had some really good analysis here, and we've been talking about it all summer. And we've seen it come to fruition. Martin Saint-Louis is putting a lot of emphasis on camp. So I will be shocked if they don't have a full lineup going into that last game, unless, like I said, if somebody's nursing something, that I understand. But this whole thing of like looking at the lineup and then trying to kind of adjust it based on, and you know what, guys, like if Ottawa, I just don't understand. Like we said earlier, what is Ottawa doing if they don't play their lineup? Like, why are you having preseason then? What's the point? And if you're going to continue to see this every year from Ottawa, guys, then Montreal should seriously look at whether they play Ottawa in the preseason or not. Like
Yeah.
it is a partnership, right? Like there is revenue sharing that happens with these. Like when Montreal invites teams to play in Montreal, they pay them a flat amount of money to come and play because they know that the attendance is going to be really good and everything else. So even though it is competitive, there is a bit of a partnership in between the organizations because they're trying to prepare for the season. So if Ottawa can't be a good partner for Montreal in the preseason in terms of getting ready for the season, then I hope the organization and Jeff Molson or Jeff Gordon or whoever is responsible for managing that takes a look at it, because that would be 2 years in a row where Montreal has to kind of like make the decision to put a lineup out because Ottawa is like being total bush league. So I'll be curious to see, coach. But if it was you, coach, like let's say you see they do a similar thing where they decide not to play their lines, what's your take? Like if you're saying are you playing your guys? Are you doing the same thing as last year? Or what are you doing?
But depends what the Ottawa bring. But I would say to you guys, they don't need to play like Demidov, Hudson, those kind of players, because whatever, you know exactly what they look like for the upcoming season. Now, the only problem is Suzuki and the line of Suzuki, because they did not play since last Saturday, maybe?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That would bring
Last
them
Thursday.
all the way to October 8th. So that would give them approximately 12, 13 days. So
That's
I would be
crazy.
shocked if they don't play that line.
Yeah.
I think they will, but I don't think Montreal is going to be a full roster like they will expect October 8th. I think a guy like Florent Jacquard will be there. I think Sammy Blais will be there. Those kind of players will be there. They're going to give another, Kapanen and back to play, I believe. and will be another day. While Engstrom is going to be also with the Montreal Canadiens in the lineup, I believe Saturday. But that's what my expectation. However, if the Ottawa is really dressed on the American Hockey League, now that we may be showing the Martin St. Louis strategy right there. But I expect a mix of the line, I believe.
Okay. And if they do that, coach, like if Ottawa shows up to that game with a lineup like that, are you with me? Like, Montreal really needs to reassess whether this is the team that they want to pair up with in the preseason, because it's ridiculous. Like, you can't do this every year. Like,
this is the end. I don't see both teams play 2 games next season. The first of all, they have 4 games, right? So next year they drop for 6 to 4 games, and with 4 games, if you regular don't play a minimum of 2-3 games at the 4 game, it will be late. So you're going to have some kind of strategy. But if I'm Montreal Canadiens, guys, you know what? Stop with Ottawa. Go with other team around. Go play with Toronto and the other team.
Neighbors.
Yeah. I think that would be my expectation for next season for sure, because it's ridiculous and we don't want anybody hurt for both teams. For both teams, that would be better. Saturday we see the line of Suzla versus the line of Suzuki, and we play Holly hockey. Now you have maybe a letter with both GM going to talk each other about the fact like don't do some stupid stuff, but at the end, and we hope the best for that, and we'll be ready for the upcoming season next year. But I hope the line of the Suzuki will be on that lineup for the upcoming game for the Montreal.
Yeah, 100%, coach. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, again, was it an entertaining game? Sure. Like but it's one thing to get injured if you get injured on a hockey play, and it's an intense play or whatever. But these like bush league plays, like it's just so frustrating because there's no need for it. Like a slash hit from behind, a sucker punch, to the face. Like, these are not hockey plays, right? So.
The worst is this is what Nick Cousins does, and someone needs to stop this guy. Someone needs to take him out of the league.
Like comment about Joshua, just to add everybody, I'll be shocked. If Joshua is now in the Montreal Canadiens until next summer. I'll be shocked. I don't see. I'll be surprised people already going at termination or going to send him to play somewhere else. I don't see that. I think if you are Joshua Roy organization right now or the camp, I was the agent. I said, look, we're going to prove who we are this year. Go play a solid year in the American Hockey League. You're on the final year contract. You're going to be RFA. You're just going to say, look, I'm going to do everything you can for you at the end of the year. And it's 1-1 for both parties. And that will be that's what I see for Joshua Roy. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I don't know I'll be wrong, but I think this is the way I think you treat your players. And think about this, guy. We are right now in October. The NL, the SHL, the KHL, they all stuff like already 1 month. Of course, you can join a team, but you're not going to get like open door when you did not do anything for the last 2 seasons in American Hockey League. No, it's not like Connor McDavid is going to play somewhere else. No. So I don't think so what happened about this. I think it will be the benefit for Joshua Roy. Go get a great year in American Hockey League. Prove who you are. Yeah. And maybe another team, Marko and San Jose, whoever other team, they say, you know what? If they can bring RHP somewhere, any team can invite him to join their team. But I think that will be the next.
There's still a debate out there. There's still a debate there for Joshua Roy, like as to what his true value is. I think his Team Canada, his World Junior performance probably still has a little bit of cachet around the NHL. There's some executives that probably still view him, still have that memory of him. Coach, you write for the Chicago Blackhawks, right? So there's a natural conversation there, reuniting Bedard with Joshua Roy. Long term, I don't think that's if that's your solution in Chicago, then But listen, it's an interesting experiment for Chicago to try. But listen, like I don't think Roy is going to Europe or anything like that. But could Montreal move him this year if a team shows interest in him? I wouldn't say it's impossible. Like, it depends whether a team likes him enough to kind of do something. But I think if he was part of a bigger deal or something, I don't think Montreal would hesitate. There was apparently some talk that he was already in some discussions this summer, right? So it wouldn't shock me.
I agree with you about that. So the next thing we'll talk about is the clash, if you don't mind, for everybody. 5 questions. The clash is absolutely not allowed. Easy tonight. I don't push too hard. But I think it will be good. I think it will be a good thing. This is sponsored by the Hockey Hot Stove. Thanks for to be a part of the show. Don't forget, please, to click on the like. If you don't mind, that'd be great. The first one, and should the Habs dress up a first line versus Ottawa Saturday?
Nick?
Absolutely. They should get they should do like one quick run before the season.
It's funner when we disagree on this segment, Nick, so that we can battle it out. But I'm with you on this one. Like, absolutely. Like I said, I think they should try to play, unless somebody is nicked up. I'd like to see them be close to a full lineup here to get the momentum going into October 8th or whatever date it is.
You're right about that. I agree with you. They should go. Luc Leverson said, nope, we should not go that one. For Luc
is very conservative. Very conservative, Luc. I'm usually the conservative.
Yeah, 80% for NRTAP, so I don't know if there's about the line or not. Or somewhere in the chat, a lot of conversation. N26, GF, everybody will see what's happening there. The next one, New York will just finish with 89.5 plus point, Marko.
So that would be what, even for what they finished last year? Like, they finished with 87 last year, something like that. Yeah, I think they finished like 4 to 6 points behind Montreal, which had 91. So, I think that's about right. Like, I think they'll be over 89 points. Like, I think they'll be slightly better than last year. I don't think it can go worse than last year. Like, I don't necessarily think the Rangers are a much better team, but maybe with a 1 year past, like Kreider's gone now, Trouba's gone. Those distractions are hopefully behind them. So hopefully they can start from scratch. New coach, you have Sullivan there, bringing a fresh look of things. So when you have Shesterkin, that's a pretty solid base. So I think they're going to be for sure they'll be competitive for that top 3 in the Metro. So I'll say absolutely over 89.5.
I'll say absolutely. Also, unfortunately, I was hoping you'd say not at all. But it's just because I think Shesterkin is still the best goalie in the world, and I think that he can get them up to 95, 96 points. They'll make a playoff. They'll get in the playoffs. I think there may only be 4 teams in the Atlantic that make the playoffs.
Really? Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think the Metro. So we can disagree on that. There's something we disagree on. I still think the Metro only gets 3 in, and I think the Atlantic will still have 5. So it's going to be interesting, like, to see. Like, I think it'll be the Rangers, and the Devils. Washington, I think some people, some people think that they might not be able to repeat what they did last year, but I don't know. I like what Washington's doing. Like, they have some good young players coming in. I think they'll be okay, but it'll be interesting.
I go with not at all.
Okay.
You don't think, eh?
No, like the defense is not great like it was before. Fox, Kevrikov, Borgen, Soucy, Schneider. I like him. But they can then they send down Fitzgerald. And the top 6 guys, Panarin, Zibanejad, Miller, Lafreniere, Trocheck, Cooley. But then after that, at the bottom guys, be ready. Radish, Parsinen. Parsinen is a guy for Pittsburgh, 5'9", I believe. Carrick, and Edstrom, Ramp, Perreault, and Prozinski.
Oh.
Well, we'll see what Perreault does, right? Like, I think he's going to be a player. There's also Othman. Othman might make the team. Like, he's a good young player. I really like him,
Yeah.
Brent Hoffman. I think he's somebody that probably makes their lineup and probably on their third line adds a lot of energy. We'll see how it plays out. But again, don't count out Shesterkin. If Shesterkin is hurt or whatever, there isn't at the par, then no, there's no chance.
Yeah,
But I think Nick
Jonathan Quick after that. But the problem behind that's a good comments about that. That bring me the same thing, guy. It's because the Quick have to restart 35 game this year because the schedule is so high. So I don't see them to get that kind of point. And then another player we forgot is Scott Morrow, the defenseman, another young defenseman over there. But I don't see that.
Yeah,
I could be wrong here, but I don't see that. Next one,
don't
guys.
they have their third goalie is Garland too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Isn't he?
Danny Garland.
He's pretty good. Yeah.
Kaprizov get 100 points this year.
I'll go first on this one. Like I'm going to say Habs, like again, barring injury, so Nick, I'll leave you that one if he gets injured, but barring any injury, then, for sure, like, let's not forget Kaprizov, if he stayed healthy last year, was going to be in the conversation for the Hart Trophy, right? So he was right there. So I'm going to say absolutely he's going to definitely feel like he needs to live up to his deal here. And I think Minnesota overall will be pretty good team. So I'm going to go absolutely with this one.
I'm going to say not at all because I think he's going to miss 15 games with an injury. And that's going to cut him short. He'll get over 90, but not over 100. I just think that he gets hurt too often and he's unreliable. It would be the same thing with Jack Hughes. Is another example of a guy like that.
Yeah.
Now, if you check his point per average per game, to get 100, it's exactly the same number of point he produced with all the game he missing. Like, like if he played like 300, he had 389 points, I believe, on 319 game. That gave him 1.21. 100 points to get 82 game is 1.21.9. So, yes, for 100, but I would say no, like Nick, because I don't think he's going to play 82 game. It'll be close, but he's not going to get 100 points. And I think, Marko, I know you like the fact like he's not only one plus, but the fact Zuccarello is not there for the 6-8 weeks at the beginning. They don't have, Boldy, player Eriksson, Iki. I don't feel he does not have the great winger, was center winger to play with him. He's still with Rand Hartman at some point. So we have to wait to see happening for them before Kaprizov. Next one, Tobel start 30-plus game this upcoming season, Nick.
I want to say absolutely because it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I just don't know what St. Louis is going to do. This is really hard because I think it's the right thing. He needs to play 30 games. It's better for Montembeault. It's better for him. It's better for everyone.
Monty has to be under 55 games. Has to. So if Monty's starting more than 55 games, we saw what happened.
Yeah.
In the playoffs with a little bit of overuse, especially down the stretch. I think we saw, like, imagine if Dobesh would have been there from the beginning of the year, guys. Like, remember that stretch where Primo just was unplayable, right? Like, there was times like Monty even played it back to back, and you never see that in the NHL now. They actually had him playing back to back, right? So I think there was a streak where he played like 14, 16 games in a row or something like that when Primo was just really, So I'm absolutely, like, for me, I don't want to see Montembeault in more than 55 games, so he's got to be over 30.
Yeah, the logic, Marko, is exactly what you just said. The performance Tobesh would make that Montreal Canadiens to give that kind of 30 goal for that. That would be close. 30 plus 52, right? It is 82. But I expect him absolutely for that one for me. Last one.
Well, wait. Any games for Fowler this year?
I'm sorry?
Do you think Fowler
not for
will
me.
get it?
Not for me. No? Three. Maybe. Maybe three. Maybe.
Okay.
No more than 3.
If Dobesh would get injured, they're going to bring Kakinen to back up, right? But if Monty got injured, I wonder whether they would bring up. But that's a whole other debate for another show. But
Yeah,
interesting.
that's a good question, by the way, for that. Last one. One player, Habs, anyone, get 40 gold, or one player get 90 points. It's not like both have to be there. It's only one of the two. 90 points for one player and 40 gold for the Montreal Canadiens, one of them. So, Marko, you're going to start.
So really this question then, Coach, is will Caulfield score 40 goals or will Suzuki get 90 points? That's how I interpret it. So I'm going to say not at all. But I'm going to say not at all. But, and Nick, like maybe you haven't watched some of the previous weeks. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Some people might think it's bad that maybe Nick Suzuki will make a little less points this year, or maybe Caulfield is around 35, 37 goals. I don't mind that their offensive production dips slightly, just a little bit, or stays the same, as long as their 5-on-5 play is much better. Like, I'm okay with Nick Suzuki being at 85 points and being like plus 25. You know what I mean? And in order for them to play, there's not a lot of players, Nick, that are 100-point players, 90-point players that are plus players. So I would much rather Suzuki and Caulfield be better, 200 feet across the ice and still be around the same totals they were last year, or even a bit less. So if Montreal is going to be a better defensive team, it wouldn't be shocking to see them fall underneath both these numbers.
Okay, I could see your point, but Suzuki's going to play on both power plays at some point this year, and Suzuki's going to, yes, I see it happening. I see him playing entire power plays eventually, because the reality is they lack a center. So because they lack an offensive center, he's going to get a lot more ice time, because I also believe that Doc will probably get hurt again. I'm very pessimistic when it comes to injuries. Very pessimistic. Yeah. Once a player gets hurt too often, I stop believing that they will not get hurt again. So
it's weird, eh, Nick? It's kind of like getting hit by lightning. Like they say that after you get hit by lightning once, your chances of getting hit by lightning again are like 30% higher than the average person for whatever reason. It's just a weird statistic. So yeah, it's strange, but if that's the case, and Nick, we've had this debate here, so I'm curious to get your take on it. But because they lost Dvorak, and he was taking a lot of important defensive draws, we talked a little about, will Newhook or Kapanen or, take some of those defensive draws. But if Nick Suzuki is going to have to start more defensive zone draws because St. Louis is going to trust him to take a draw if Evans is not available, or if Suzuki has to kill penalties more often,
that could be a problem.
That's going to affect his defensive output, right? Because that was one of the key things that allowed him to get 90 points last year, is that he had more O-zone starts than D-zone starts. So that's going to be one thing to keep an eye out on. And if he is going to be killing penalties and taking more D-zone draws, do you really want to double dip him on the power play?
I guess not. It wouldn't make sense. And I guess he doesn't have a choice. But if Veleno's in the lineup, I say just use Veleno for those things. If there's a night that Veleno's in the lineup, you just let Veleno take the defensive draws on the penalty kill. I think he can do it. So that's the one area where I think Veleno can be used.
I go absolutely for that one. I just want to finish because we are done with that. That's front goal for the Edmonton Oilers 2 years ago. Compare last season. What is its front goal they have? Like there was like a number 2 years ago. Now they have another number 1 year ago. Like 3 years ago and 1 year ago. What is the drop of the number of the goal, Marko?
Okay, so you're talking total goals for?
Yeah, goals for.
Okay, what was it last year?
259.
Yeah, I think it's going to be south of that for sure. I'm going to say like I don't know, like 238. So maybe they lost a lot of goals from their lineup. So
Yeah.
Hyman is going to be injured to start the year, if I'm not mistaken. You lost Evander
Yeah.
Kane. I'm not a huge Trent Frederick believer either, so I'm not sure I like that bet for them. But you do have younger players like Savoie joining the lineup. You have, what's his name, Howard, that's going to be joining. So, but these are rookies, right? So I think maybe they're 10 goals under where they were last year, Coach. 10 to 12 goals under.
So 3 years ago, they scored 325 goals.
Oh, shit! They scored 325.
3 years ago.
Oh, wow. 3 years ago.
Last year, only 259.
Well, again, Coach, I'm fine with that, right? Like, and what's the big difference, right? Like, I like balanced teams that.
You know what is big trend, Marko? Check this. That's crazy. That's I write for the owners, so I'm doing all the stuff, everything like that. The power play percentage, guys, and 3 years from 3 years ago, like last year, dropped up 9.8%. Wow. That's the reason, guys, they don't score anymore like they was before, because the power play was at 32 something. Now it's at 23 something, and that's the biggest problem they have right there. So to be in the top of the top, and they find a way last year to go all the way to the cup with that kind of less of scoring, but they lost right now 63 gain a goal from Perry, Edmondson, Skinner, and that part. So it'll be really hard to come back at 275 or 280 if the power play does not work, whatever they bring back. But it would be really interesting to watch others. I just want to share with you. Nick, it was a pleasure to see you with the Hockey Nation. It was great to see you again. Hopefully see you again in the next couple of weeks. If you want to join us, Marko is going to contact. Could just talk with at least one time per month. It would be fun to catch up with you, what's going on. Great job you do right now with your Sit Podcast, everything. We follow you left and right. And the best way to follow you, it would be where, Mr. Nick?
Twitter
on the X account.
Nick L2500. Twitter for sure.
Awesome. And Marko, was a great to work with you again. They're always fun to talk every Wednesday. We're not there yet. It will be 2 more weeks before we hit the Hump Day normal show, like the breakdown and everything. I can't wait to do that in 2 weeks. Next week, we don't have no show, Marko. It's going to be the beginning of the season of the Montreal Canadiens, and we're going to report, if you don't mind, Thursday night. No, they played Wednesday, Thursday. So we're going to figure out something for you next week, and maybe Sunday night.
Maybe I can do Sunday night with. We'll do Sunday night with that.
Right. So I think it'll be good for that one. So that's you, both of you. I wish you an amazing, great night. Like I do at the end, I finish. One more words for the upcoming week, Marko.
Just let's see. Let's land the plane. That's my last thing. So let's finish the training camp in good style and get ready for the big opener. Thanks again, Nick. Don't forget, Sunday night or Sunday morning, Zoom, fantasy hockey. It's going to be awesome. Lots of trash talking. So hope if you have other people that you want to join, looking forward to connect with everybody on the Zoom. It's a lot of fun on Sunday.
Awesome, both of you. Have an amazing, great night, Nick. Look forward to see you next time. Have a good night, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night.
It was Nick Lariviere with Marko Lariviere for the Hump Day Show on the every Wednesday night during the season 6 of the Hockey Nation. Hopefully you guys great night with us. A lot of great conversation, guys. Hopefully we can be a bit more better. We are, guys, at 91 subscribers to get 10,000. I know ask you a lot. I know ask all the time. We need more. And I know we have to do more homework. It would be great if we can get that before the beginning of the season, October 8th. I don't know tomorrow I'm going to do. Possible baseball game the next couple of days for the night. Because Montreal tomorrow is, they was off today. I don't expect too much news around the Montreal Canadiens. If we have something huge, we're going to go with Montreal Canadiens and maybe go with baseball, following by Montreal. I don't know. Check your notification. Click on the bell and follow the Hockey Nation. And I can't wait to see all of you. It was great to see with all the moderators tonight, Ron, Luciano, and Mr. Nartap. With all the likes we got, don't forget to punch out before you're leaving. We try to get 50 likes tonight. Until then, my friend, the only reason we get better. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. Exactly, you have greatness inside of you. Be well, be healthy. Find a way not only to dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the second half of what? Someone like Luke maybe said 2025 or RJ Calabro. Until the next time, my friend, the Hockey Nation, the Ab Nation, and all the animals, and the jungle of Thailand. Want to tell you one more thing, sir. We love you, friends. Have a good night, everybody. And yes, the Canucks are right now killing the Flame by the score 6-1. I'm watching that game too. So you can see that. Mr. PS is in the house tonight. Mark Elliott, thank you so much for everything. Bob Smith, of course. Look, thanks so much for everything. And the last thing. Oh, it's coming. Good night, everybody. Booyah!